Ivan, this is a gorgeous Jeep with a lot of dirt.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. You may recognize this Jeep. It's been on the channel before. Nick decided to buy it for himself to replace the venerable Subaru.
I want to say the Subaru is safe.
Yes.
All right, it does great in the snow. Practical vehicle for a man with kids. And it's also got great mileage. None of that is true about this.
Yeah.
I've heard they're unreliable, the mileage is horrible, they're loud, they're quirky, but
They're
it was
fun.
calling to me, Ivan.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I want in my life, right?
Yeah.
I want to have more fun. If you want to have more fun, put that in the comments. Let's make that a goal in life.
Yes.
And detailing, as I'm always reminded when we get together, it's supposed to be fun.
And it is fun. And speaking of fun, this is Nick's Jeep. We're not doing rinseless on it. The man loves to foam, so get the foam cannon, Nick.
You know I didn't even measure the foam properly either.
No, I know that, yeah.
You used to say things to me like, that's way too much.
Yeah.
I noticed you pretending not to see me glug it in there. We're gonna have fun today. We're gonna foam rinse foam as you would do with any vehicle that's incredibly dirty. But Ivan, we're starting with all clean in the IK.
Yeah, just to clean the wheels and tires. So, if you recognize this Jeep from before, you'll notice that the wheels and tires are different. These are takeoffs. In other words, brand new tires from a dealership that someone wanted the big muscle tires on their Jeep. And Nick is not probably gonna be off-roading anytime soon.
I'd like to. The idea of off-roading sounds fun.
Yeah.
I wanted those tires, but Ivan convinced me. He said, these are gonna be better in terms of the driving experience on the road. You're gonna get better mileage. And it's not gonna mess with the Jeep as much. Like,
No, and they're quieter.
they're quieter.
But being takeoffs from a dealership, they are slathered in tire dressing. Even the treads had tire dressing on them. That's how much they put on. The wheels are brand new, so they're brand new, but we still have to clean that tire dressing off.
If you've never used All Clean before, it actually comes in a 16-ounce bottle, so it comes ready to use. The dilution is actually 15-to-1 if you buy it in the gallon concentrate, but it comes at that dilution in a 16-ounce bottle. What I will say is if you can get yourself a foamer, and we use the IK foamer, it just allows the All Clean to cling and to continue to clean as each new bubble bursts. It's the most effective way to use All Clean. So once you buy a foamer, you're good for life, basically. All Clean works great without it. It works even better with it. And we use it, Ivan, sometimes on really dirty vehicles on the lowers,
Yeah.
but for sure on wheels and tires.
Right, and we got what's called dirty snow the other day here, which is a weird phenomenon, but take a look at the roof. It is amazingly dirty. The whole car was covered in snow, that dirty snow, and that was the result of it. So Nick, foam away.
I'm gonna foam away. I'm also gonna let you know, this is just the beginning. We're gonna wash. We're gonna decontaminate. We're gonna polish, Ivan, and we're
Yeah.
gonna ceramic coat. So this is a wash video. No need to go further than this. This is a good island. You could just wash, but it's also a great way to prepare for all the things I mentioned in terms of that long-term protection. Ivan, I might have overdone it,
Did you even put water in there?
as I sometimes do.
Yeah, no, Nick went through a whole foam cannon full on a small two-door Jeep. But Nick will do as Nick does. We will see, you know, if you look on the ground, we have all that brown coming off the vehicle. That is that dirty snow, and actually there's a chunk of it here. So it's still cold outside, and we still have snow on here. So we'll get rid of this dirty snow, but you can see just how disgusting it is. And that was all through the snow. So it wasn't dirt on the vehicle that got picked up by snow. It's actually the snow when it fell was like this.
Question for you, Ivan. I had just a little bit left in the foam cannon. I just added water. Are we cool? Because we're gonna rinse this off, we're gonna foam again. Are we cool to just have a real thin, runny foam for the next one? Or
Yeah.
should I add a little suds in there?
It's up to you. It's your Jeep.
If I were not on video, I'd add more suds. Because foam is fun, Ivan.
Well, foam away.
It's time to rinse, Ivan.
Yeah.
I salute you and your rinsing abilities.
Do you have the nozzle, sir?
Yeah, it's on the ground. I'll grab it for you in a second. I've never met a more efficient rinser in my life, so I'll do the foam and you do the rinsing.
Okay.
Ah, the smell of incredible suds in the morning.
It is a great smell. That grape is intoxicating. And actually, I'll get that little ladder from the other side. The roof, like I said, was brown with dirt here, so.
That's a lot of mud, Ivan.
It sure is. And all this without going off-road.
Ivan, I'm looking at the mud just cascading from the roof on the other side.
Yeah.
And it struck me, there are so many, foaming soaps out there. Just use this in your foam can, then use another one and do it. Incredible Suds cleans amazingly well at every stage of the process.
Exactly. You don't need to use those multi-pH soaps. To me, that's marketing more than it is science. I think you may have overdone it with the suds a little bit. Normally, our drain can keep up with the what's coming off the vehicle, and the drain can't even keep up. You have so much suds there.
So there's a reason to not overdo it.
Yeah. Not only are you wasting product, but you're giving our drain a hard time.
We don't like that because then we get wet feet, and we want to keep the team happy here.
So go ahead, foam it again.
All right.
Now I saw him put more Incredible Suds in the thing. We might have another foam explosion. And when we look at the vehicle, it looked clean already. And that was without any contact. But one thing I'd like to point out, I mentioned that greasy tire shine from the dealership. These tires are still beating and they still feel greasy. I got a little more all clean on these wheels. Not the wheels, but the tires. The wheels are perfectly clean, but the tires, not so much. We'll let that dwell.
So this is just a case of if you see something as you're going, don't be afraid to use your knowledge of the products with your knowledge of detailing and make an adjustment slightly.
Exactly.
I'm always asking for that standard operating procedure that is so simple for every wash. But yeah, that makes sense. You see some extra greasiness there, a little extra all clean. When would you use all clean, Ivan, not just on the wheels, but on the lowers of a car?
Extremely rarely. People want to use too aggressive of a chemical. We see exactly what the Incredible Suds has done. Rinseless Wash will do the same thing. You don't need to use harsh chemicals on your vehicle, especially if you maintain it regularly. Someone that might wash a car that's been sitting for 2 or 3 years, then yes, all clean might be appropriate. But if you're washing it monthly even, or every 2 months, you don't need to worry about that. Don't buy into the hype of you need this and that and this chemical. The pre-treat, either the Incredible Suds or Rinseless Wash, is spectacular as a pre-treat and does a great job.
Ivan, perhaps now's a good time. It's become so second nature to foam, rinse, foam.
Yeah.
Why do we foam before the rinse and then after as well?
Well, the reason we foam before is we want the soap to emulsify the dirt. Without that emulsification, some people would have just taken their pressure washer or their hose and started rinsing this off. Not the best strategy, because now you're taking that dirt and moving it across the surface using high pressure water, as opposed to gently depositing some foam on it. And when you gently deposit that foam, then it can start breaking down and lifting that dirt off the surface. Then when we rinse it, it's lubricated and it's safely taken away.
Let's talk about basic wash strategy. We foamed, we've rinsed, we've foamed. You've explained that well.
Yeah.
Now, where do we start on the vehicle? There's vertical panels, there's horizontal panels, there's the roof, there's the hood. There's the wheels, like everyone says, start with the wheels. Like, where do we start?
Start where you want. I prefer starting with the roof, working my way down. on the body. The wheels, you can do them now, you can do them later. In this case, I want this to dwell as long as possible to break down that heavy silicone, greasy tire dressing. And the wheels are clean on this. The wheels are brand new, it's just they put that dressing on them. So we're not really worried about the wheels, but we are worried about the body and we are worried about the tires. We're not worried, but we have to pay attention to.
You're leveraging the dwell time, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dwell time is a huge principle of cleaning, and agitation is as well, but if you can get the dwell time to work in your favor, hopefully there won't be the need for much agitation, right?
Right. And since this is Nick's vehicle, we're using his favorite wash media, which is the cotton candy wash mitt.
Oh my goodness, I love this cotton candy wash mitt. I know it's a limited edition of sorts. We're not gonna be reordering these, so if they're still available on the website, go get you one. They are a joy to use paired with incredible suds, Ivan.
Yeah, and you know, the pre-wash did such a great job that the mitt is coming up clean.
Boy, my shirt is not coming up clean. I got a little too close. So don't touch your clothes to the car. That's a good technique reminder for me.
Well, it's not dirty, it's just you've got yourself foamed up.
Exactly, but it just, best practices are to avoid touching the vehicle with your clothes or your body. Ivan, I know you've detailed with a watch and jewelry for years. You know, how do you avoid scratching up vehicles as you wash?
I've never washed a vehicle using my watch or my rings, and I don't intend to. You know, we wear gloves, so that takes care of the rings, but even then, it's not something I'm concerned about.
Boy, rinseless is a lot less messy, isn't it, Ivan?
Yes, it is.
I went a little too wild with the foam. It's been a while since I've been given free rein. And now we know why.
Now the Jeep has, shall we say, a few nooks and crannies. That's why you see I've got the small brush in my hand. And what I'm doing is I'm using the lubrication from the Incredible Suds, taking it from my mitt, and letting it lubricate and flush these areas that need that work.
And you tend to do the lowers at the end, right? Or the bumper at the end. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I normally will do depending on what season it is. So during the summer, I would definitely leave the front till last because I want those insect remains to have the best amount of time to emulsify. During the winter, I'll do the back at the end because I want that grit that's accumulated from the road salts and the gravel they put down on the roads to be emulsified and broken down there. And I'm not worried about insects on the front end during the winter months.
So Ivan, I never see you with these little brushes unless it's a G-Wagon or a Jeep. Usually you detest them. You think they're just for detailing videos. They're used improperly. Like, again, can you share your thoughts on the brush?
Yeah, so used improperly is the best way of putting it, or overused. The Jeep has all these odd angles, nooks, and crannies that we need to get into. But normally speaking, most cars don't have this. And I'll use this technique, and we've used it on cars before, just when we're trying to get stuff out of cracks, etc. And that's what we have here.
So do I have to use a brush like this on every wash with this Jeep now?
Not every wash, but once in a while, yes.
Not looking forward to that.
Jeep ownership comes with its privileges.
Oh, does it?
Using a small brush is one of those.
Can we get the Jeep people in the comments? Is this a good choice? Is it a bad choice? Jeep haters, like, share your wisdom. David Bradshaw, one of our awesome viewers, gave me a tip recently and said, just wait a year before you buy anything. Just drive the vehicle.
Yeah,
because Jeeps are like infinitely upgradable and customizable.
Yeah, a lot of people over-accessorize their Jeeps and realize, oh, I didn't really need that.
Do we have a thought on the rubber duckies? Is that acceptable, or should I stay away? Is that a certain type of person?
No, every Jeep owner has at least one rubber duck at some point. And rubber ducks are not something you buy for yourself. That's something that people give to you. So
Okay.
They see your Jeep, other Jeepers will see your Jeep and go, ooh, I like that one. Here's a rubber duck. Now,
So just let it come to me.
yeah, they come to you.
Okay.
Now, one thing that I found interesting, when we had our red Jeep, we got rubber ducks up until the day we lowered the Jeep. After that, no more rubber ducks.
Why not?
In the Jeep community, lowering a Jeep is sacrilegious.
How so? Just because you're not an off-roader?
Yeah. Ours was a mall crawler, and it was proud of it.
Ivan's had the most Jeeps of anybody I know and has the most strong feelings about Jeeps of anybody I know.
I've only had 4. While Nick is squeegeeing there, I'll address the wheels and tires.
I noticed you're not using a stiffer bristle brush on the tires themselves, Ivan.
No,
Care to share your thoughts?
it's not gonna help get the grease off more than this brush is.
That's my favorite brush. You love to clean the wheel faces and then do the barrels. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so wheel faces first, and then the barrels. The reason for that is very simple. If you do the barrels first, you're pulling all that grit that could be in the barrels to the face, and then you're rubbing the face. Whereas by doing the barrel second, you're eliminating that risk. I'm also going to use the brush on these running boards. The back bumper. On the textured plastic just to help with that. Now these barrels are extremely clean because these wheels have basically no mileage on them.
I can still see some adhesive on a sticker that was on here, so yeah. These really are new.
Barrel brush pulled out, it's clean. So yeah, not an issue here.
When we were talking about wheels, you said these ones are gonna be super easy to clean and keep clean, and I was like, but I want the sexy black ones, and now I'm looking at these and I'm just like, I love easy to clean.
Yes.
There's some mixture of the honeymoon phase where you're dreaming of what it's gonna be, and then it's real life coming in, and I'm like, in real life, easy to clean is going to be very satisfying. Because let's be honest, when you don't have access to a pressure washer, like me, I don't have a garage, I want ease of clean. I want to be able to rinseless wash this thing, put some rinseless wash on there, and wipe these down in the future. So yeah, these look great. Okay, Ivan, so teach me the ways of removing the spare tire.
Now, you've got a lug nut wrench inside the Jeep, but we have to take the trunk apart for that. So we're gonna cheat a little bit here.
And this is an
impact. Hold the wheel. Okay, take it off.
An impact wrench?
Yep.
Doesn't matter what brand you get.
No.
All right. Wheels off.
There we go.
Is that easy?
It's that easy. So now, in around here.
All right, let's do it. Proper technique might dictate something else, but just go for it.
Yeah, it's been foamed, rinsed, and foamed. So.
Yeah, there you go.
I foamed deeply there too, so. Or
Oh boy, now that might come off with a little polishing maybe, or the decon step. Boy, I don't know if it's ever been cleaned back here, Ivan.
So use that small brush around there as well. Around the hinges and door handles, etc. Now the last time you saw this Jeep, we polished it and we put ceramic gloss on it. We're gonna have to polish it again to remove the ceramic gloss in order to put on the coating.
Ivan, I like to get things done, not waste any time, so I think it's basically the appropriate moment to rinse this off and get polishing.
Wrong answer, Nick.
What?
We need to decontaminate. Even though it hasn't been driven much since the last time we did it, it still might have contamination on it. Let's take the extra 5 minutes to make sure it's decontaminated and the paint is as pristine as can be before we put a polishing pad to it.
So if you were just washing, this would be a great way to wash and then dry with something like ceramic gloss.
Yeah.
But if you're decontaminating, if you're polishing, especially if you're ceramic coating, you gotta decontaminate.
Right.
All right. You sold me. I thought we were gonna get it done.
No, we have incredible suds on the surface. We have our perforated synthetic decontamination towel in our wash bucket. And iron remover.
Ivan, I have a pressing question for you.
Yes.
I'd like to show you my decontamination towel.
Okay.
It has something crusty in here. I don't know if that's dirt or mud.
Yeah.
Is it time to throw it away?
Maybe, maybe not. Let's see if it can be cleaned.
Okay, because usually when people ask us, you know, I've got a dirty decon towel, I'm like, just rinse it under water, but that didn't help here.
Right, so we'll use again that little brush.
So just your sudsy brush.
Just the sudsy brush. We'll see if that breaks down what's on here. And oh, it's actually greasy. They may have picked up some grease somewhere.
Is that what grease looks like?
Yeah. And we normally don't recommend all clean on this towel, but this is an extreme case. So we'll just let it dwell for a second.
Because all clean works on grease.
Yeah. And we'll try our brush again.
Boy, I'd be tempted to hit this with like a steamer or a pressure washer, a toothpick.
Yeah, no.
Try a gentle method like this first.
Yeah. And we're getting there. So a toothpick actually might be good to pick the big chunks out and then we clean it.
Ivan, a toothpick you say? Well, I've got just the ticket.
Yeah. So now we just want to pick this out of here. The heavier stuff. Yeah, this is definitely like a heavy grease of some sort.
So any danger that would pose to paint if we were deconning with that?
Yeah, it would be scrubbing that grease everywhere.
Oh boy. I'm glad I didn't do that.
And I'll spray a little bit more of this on. I'm actually going to use a slightly stiffer brush.
Now this is just for emergencies. Normally we would say treat the perforated side of your towel like a baby.
Yeah.
Oh, that's working great.
Yeah. So there we have it. Like new. So we used all clean on the towel, not something you want to be using on a regular basis, but just for that one little spot, and we immediately rinsed it so we haven't damaged the towel. But be very careful and inspect your towel before using it every time. There you go, sir.
Okay, I love it. We rescued our decon towel.
In doing that, it took a bit of time. So I'm just gonna add some incredible suds to the surface for additional lubrication.
You sure you don't want to foam again, Ivan?
You can if you want.
It does seem like it's kind of drying up on me.
Yeah, but the little pass with the mitt was more than enough.
There's some contamination on this paint, Ivan.
There sure is.
But it moves pretty quickly after a few passes with the decon towel and the iron remover.
Yep.
Now, not all iron removers are made the same.
No.
Why should folks know that and know anything about ours?
So some iron removers will actually dissolve the towel. Not something you want. And not all iron removers provide lubrication, which ours does.
Why do we decontaminate glass?
To make it easier to clean.
Yeah, it's important to properly decontaminate paint before you polish because those contaminants that are bonded to the surface, they can get in the way of the pad and the polish, doing what they're designed to do. So everything is built on the system from start to finish.
Yeah.
And you don't want to skip steps. It can be tempting.
And it can actually damage the pad.
This is the time if your wash mitt didn't move that griminess under the fender lip, Ivan, that I like to just do one of these.
Yeah.
and that'll really set apart your detail. If it's your vehicle or someone else's, there can be that brown residue left behind if you don't hit it. So, just word of the wise, and not a bad idea to just take care of that, and it'll hose off easily from there. So we still want to decontaminate this hardtop?
Yes, definitely. We're going to be coating it, so we won't be polishing, but we'll be coating it, so we need to decontaminate it.
So just a quick and easy rinse, huh, Ivan?
No, a very thorough rinse. We want to make sure we get any of that possibly hidden grit out from behind all the cracks and crevices. At the same time, we also want to remove the iron remover from the same cracks and crevices.
Ivan, I've never seen a more efficient rinser in my whole life.
Thank you. I don't like wasting water or time.
Boy, Jeep seemed like a real bear to clean. I think this will be the one time it gets washed, Ivan.
You may wash it again. We don't know.
But ceramic coatings, don't they just make it bulletproof? Like you just get a coating and then you're set for life?
No, not at all. They help, but they're far from being bulletproof.
I know we're gonna rinse again.
Yeah.
It's a futile effort, but you know, with the foaming, I set the foundation of a lot of liquid on the ground today.
Yes, you did. Next step, water spot remover, a very important part of the decontamination process. Something not everybody does, but we love to do it because it really does make a difference. You know, this sat outside for months. It accumulated minerals, it accumulated snow and rain on it, all sorts of things. It also went to a body shop since the last time we saw it. Remember, the hood had a big dent in it. PDR tech couldn't get it out, so we had to have the hood replaced and repainted. They did a great color match on it. It's perfect.
Yeah, there was a lot of rust around the hinges up here.
Yeah, there was.
If I recall.
Yeah. So now that's all taken care of, but at the same time, it means we need to decontaminate the vehicle. Some of that grit that we felt was probably just a bit of overspray.
Right.
And now, water spot remover.
Boy, water spot remover sounds like I'm removing water spots, but we tell folks over and over again,
Mineral
this is our
cleanse.
mineral cleanse, yeah? Where did we come up with the idea of the water spot remover mineral cleanse?
The idea is something that we did in our shops 30 years ago. We didn't use a water spot remover, we used another product. But to me, it's always been an important part of decontaminating a vehicle. And some of the products on the market are not safe on glass. They're not safe on some trim. So when we were developing our water spot remover, I wanted to be safe on every exterior surface of a vehicle. And we managed that.
Anything you'd do differently if we were doing this outside, which so many folks don't have our climate controlled environment, right? So I like to bring up those guys and gals. Like,
Yeah.
what would I do if I were outside?
Just do half the car at a time.
Would you have preferred to do this as a rinseless wash?
I always prefer a rinseless wash, but no, it can be done either way, Nick.
Okay.
Now, normally we would do this with a rinseless dampened towel, but we don't have a bucket of rinseless, so an Incredible Suds dampened towel. The goal is just to make sure your towel is damp, not wet, meaning you want to wring it out.
I wasn't wringing it out that much in the garage, and Ivan pointed out how much more work it was causing me. So this actually gives you less work. Can you explain why that is?
The whole goal of the towel is to agitate and to move the water spot remover over the surface. If your towel is too wet, you'll be flushing it off, and if it's too dry, you'll be lifting it off. We just want a damp towel, making sure we're getting in all these little nooks and crannies, cracks and crevices.
And we're not flipping the towel.
No, you don't want to flip the towel because then you'd be just lifting the water spot remover off the surface. That's not the goal here. The goal is to distribute it evenly over the surface, give it a bit of agitation. We know at this point the surface is super clean because we've foamed, we've rinsed, we've foamed, we've washed, we've done water iron remover with the decontamination towel. There's nothing grit-wise left on this paint. When we're done, we want to once again wring out this towel and then rinse it in clear water, not in our wash bucket. And we don't want to put it back in our wash bucket because of the slight acidity to it. We don't want to be damaging our wash bucket or our wash media that's in the bucket. So just rinsing with clear water, wring it out again. And Sylvie set up another bucket with water in it that will just let it soak in there. Next step, rinsing off the water spot remover. And this is our last rinsing step. Finally time to put the pressure washer away.
Ivan, as you come back on camera, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What is the biggest mistake people make when they're going about the wash process? This all looks pretty familiar, it all looks pretty easy, but then folks get in the real world.
Yeah.
Without the video, it's just them and the vehicle. Where do they go wrong?
A lot of people, in their rinsing, they go wrong. So you see them rinse sort of haphazardly. And you need to be very methodical when rinsing to make sure you're not bringing dirt back onto an area you've already rinsed.
Yeah, I've done that before. A few times.
Yeah.
Now, if we had done this with rinseless, how would we have done this differently?
Not much. The only difference would have been in the beginning. Since we're doing a full-on decontamination, we need to rinse. We could have used a garden hose. We didn't need to use the pressure washer. But in this case, the pressure washer was really good to get in these cracks and crevices that the Jeep is so famous for.
I was gonna say, with a Jeep or a G-Wagon or just the crevice kind of vehicles, I noticed how you spent extra time in all these seams.
Right.
And you flushed crud out of there. It would be easy to skip those steps.
Yeah, and then when you're polishing, that crud, when it dries up, comes out as dust. Again, potentially scratching the surface.
All right, Ivan, I'm always yakking away, asking you questions, but we gotta dry the vehicle, and that's another thing where, can I do this wrong? Can I do this right? Like, we're not using a drying aid here because we're prepping for polishing. So what do I need to know about proper drying?
Well, again, being methodical. So making sure that you're getting all these areas. Now, this has lots of cracks and crevices, so we're gonna towel dry quickly. We're not going for perfection here. And then we'll use a blower of some sort, be it compressed air, be it a master blaster, a leaf blower, whatever, to get the cracks and crevices so they quit leaking on us for days.
Wouldn't it be safer just to air dry?
We can wait if we have that sort of patience, but you're new to Jeep ownership, Nick. It's a multi-day thing.
No, I was just gonna say a lot of people will forced air, leaf blower their car thinking that's safer because you can introduce scratch risk with the towel.
Right. The leaf blower, not only does it remove the standing water on the surface by blowing it off, but it also evaporates some. And it's that evaporation that unfortunately is not what we want, because our water here has a very high mineral content, close to 500 total dissolved solids, meaning that it's got a lot in there. And if we let it air dry or blow dry it, then we're drying those minerals onto the surface. For those people that don't remember this Jeep, is there a video they could watch to catch up on the story a little bit?
Oh yeah, if you want to do your research, dive into the history of when we first saw this Jeep and how we got it from zero to almost hero.
Yeah.
That video is right here.